Lisa Donald Stasko.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going, Lisa?
I'm good. How about yourself, Jeff?
All right, you got your all your shopping done for your Thanksgiving dinner?
Pretty much. I'm still on the hunt for mushrooms.
I think Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday.
Is it?
Yeah, I kind of like the lead up to it, the week prior, like people are already turning their attention to just checking out and enjoying their families, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I like it too. I like it. I like all three of them: Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas.
I could do without Halloween. I never was one for dress up.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Seeing the kids.
yeah. So you think this would be a long discussion today?
Pardon me?
You think this will be a lengthy discussion today, or you think we'll get in and out?
I really don't know. It's been
Uh-huh.
pretty quiet,
Uh-huh.
so I really don't even know.
Okay. I'm just gonna put you all on mute for a minute.
Okay. Good morning. I see Sean Hardy and Tom.
Tom Flannery.
Could you please let me know what your subject matter is for the meeting, and I'll make sure that you come on panelist.
Sure, I'm one of the board members of the Homeowners Association at Cook Estates.
Okay,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I'm the engineer for the Cook Estates.
and that's Sean.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I see what they're looking at with me. Why don't we get all this shit coming along?
Donald, your microphone's on.
And Paul Davis, what would your subject matter be?
For the Cook Estate as well.
Thank you. So once we are at that subject matter, I'll promote you to panelists. Thank you, Jane.
Good morning. Hi, Greg.
Good evening, Wayne.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, Dan.
How you doing, Wayne? Hi, Greg. Wayne, how'd you make out over there at Island Ave?
I had Paul Davis over there yesterday, and we tried to go on up the Y that goes to the house through the town parking lot, and we couldn't get it to turn. So I've got someone down there locating the connection there so that we could either put in a clean out there to be able to go from there to the house. Now, the problem is they built an addition on top of all of the old stuff.
Oh.
And so none of the ties and stuff really work from the house and stuff. So, and they were about to tear up the bathroom floor on the first floor to try to find out where this, we think it's like just clogged probably, and with anything, you know.
There's no clean out at all?
There's no what?
Clean out?
No clean outs. No. There was one clean out, but it went to the other system. Actually, I'm gonna go excuse myself for a minute and get my hearing aids. So.
Hey, Bill.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
Good morning, Bill.
Hi.
Morning, Dan.
I thought I was muted. So. Got a big crowd today.
We do.
Popular folks.
Kevin McKinnon, can you please just let me know what your subject matter is for today's meeting?
Yes, sorry, I should identify myself in the chat, right? I'm here representing town with respect to Cook's Estate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'll promote everyone on Cook Estate to panelists once we're that subject matter.
Mhm.
We have a couple of other things on the agenda before we get there. I think we're just waiting for Paul. Have you heard from him at all, Bill?
No, not a word. I'll give him a quick blast, see where he is.
And Dan, what we're doing today is to locating it where it's coming off of the, right at the property line, and we're gonna put a clean out there. And then go back, go either direction.
Thank you, Alicia.
So Paul is on. I don't know whether he's on,
Oh.
he's on a phone, is what he just sent me an email.
Let's see.
He said
He says he can see us.
Okay, I think I just saw him. Here he is. Let me promote him. Here we go. Oh, if he's calling in, he. There he is.
Okay. Let's see, what time is it? Why don't we start? When are you good?
Yes,
Okay. Why don't I call the meeting to order at 10:06? Present Bill McGowan, Wayne Sawchuck, Paul Kears, Dan Coughlin, Lisa McGonigal. So our first piece of business is 75 Border Street. And I don't see them. I don't see the Tedeschi's here.
Yes, they are. I just ordered them.
Yep, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Greg, would you like to take over on this since we've had you investigate what's going on?
Yes, good morning through you, Mr. Chair. My name is Greg Corbo, Town Council for the Town of Cohasset, and Lisa McGonigal and I have looked into this matter, and in particular to try to determine whether we could find evidence that the property that is now 75 Border Street paid a betterment assessment in the past. And I believe that Ms. McGonigal provided you with a detailed memorandum outlining the work that was done and the documents supporting the conclusion that this property had not previously paid a betterment. In particular, the research revealed that this property was formerly part of another parcel of land that was labeled as 28R Black Horse Lane, and that in 2020, that particular lot, 28R Black Horse Lane, was split into two lots, one becoming 75 Border Street, and then the other being combined with another parcel, 30 Black Horse Lane. While we were able to confirm that 30 Black Horse Lane paid a betterment in the past, there was no evidence to suggest that 28R Black Horse Lane had paid a betterment. This information was reviewed with the assessor's office as well as the tax collector's office, and there was numerous supporting documentation, including a list of all the betterments paid in the neighborhood, which list does not include either this property or the former 28R Black Horse Lane. Therefore, under the commission's regulations, because this property has not previously been assessed a betterment, the property owner is responsible for payment of a special sewer connection fee at the time of connection, which at this time is $37,500. I couldn't find any evidence to suggest that this property should be exempt. Therefore, I'll leave it up to you to decide. I know the Tedeschi's are here, and if they have any conflicting information, I would suggest that you listen to that as well.
Okay, so thank you, Greg, or Mr. Corbo, for that, and I appreciate the time to kind of reconvene with you guys. As you know, this is just our second meeting with the Sewer Commission. Our first meeting was quite different. So just a little statement here. We followed all of your steps, you being the Sewer Commission and the protocol for the town of Cohasset. We asked and received a copy of the sewer plan showing our stub from 1973 when we were investigating the purchase of this property, as we stated in our first meeting with you. That was back in December of 2019. We called Lisa prior to purchasing the property and did a lot of due diligence with her for several weeks. She said she was new, and she said she'd have to get back to us. She got back to us before we purchased the property, and I keep stating that because we weren't necessarily going to purchase based on evidence we discovered. She came back and said we were approved for a 4-bedroom home and told my wife straightforward that all we'd have to do is pay $1,000 fee to proceed, that the no betterment was determined. And I know Lisa says she misremembers that conversation. She was happy for us at the time. Then anyway, after sending the $1,000 in, the Sewer Commission, issued us a permit and we began building. Brian Davis, who I've spoken to several times since then, and his team went down, got the permit, they proceeded. We got all of our sign-offs. We were never told of any other information that would have changed that. And we only purchased the property after getting all that information and sending the $1,000 or in tandem with the $1,000. We closed on the property of February 14th, 2020. So like I said, you issued us the sewer permit, which is everything different than what your normal protocol would have been. If we were aware of the fee at the time, we would have made a better judgment, but to come back afterwards
16
is
months
different.
later.
16 months later. Anyway, we received all the sign-offs, including our certificate of occupancy, and moved in. Over a year later, we received your demand letter as if we had done something wrong. We had just followed the protocol that the town requires for building and for permits. You claimed we had not paid a bill that somehow you said we had received in March of 2020. We never received it. And I'd be shocked to think that the Sewer Commission would only send a letter in the mail, not an email follow-up, not a phone call, not someone who would stop in, not notify the building inspector, Bob Egan, at the time, none of that. So we had our first meeting with you back in September of this year. That was the only other time we've spoken to this commission. And it seemed like a solution was going to be resolved. 2 of the 3 members, Wayne and Paul, if I could use your first names, I apologize if you prefer more formality, were very understanding the situation and felt either a 0 or 3,000 or 6,000 betterment should be paid. And basically that there'd been other properties in the village that had similar circumstances, that this has happened before. And as Mr. Sawchuk had said, you don't just put a sewer stub on a piece of property back in a 1973 line that someone obviously had requested it or looked into it. We just started doing some due diligence, assuming we were going to receive Lisa's, which we received yesterday afternoon, only after I reached out to her to verify this meeting. So we really haven't had ample time to look what's there, but I didn't see anything referring back to what Mr. McGowan had asked to look for back in that first meeting, which was, spend 3 to 5 minutes looking to see maybe what the Porters at 81 Border Street had paid or similar properties back when that sewer line was put in. So I guess I just don't quite understand and need more time to discuss this with our attorney as to, this evidence that was provided yesterday just speaks to more current things. I understand there was a betterment in the 90s, I guess is what's listed there, but we have documentation showing that in 1970, this property was actually recorded with the planning board of Cohasset by the prior owners. And so I would think that owner at the time, which we have in our deed, which I can now forward, to Mr. Corbo, shows that. So has Lisa gone back and looked at the owners back in the 70s? Because that seemed to be the focus that we had at our last meeting. So anyway, happy to forward that research. I think maybe it's best if we just continue this to your next meeting until we can kind of get with our attorney now that we understand your position, because again, this is the first we're hearing from you, which is a very different position than that we had at the first meeting. And that's all I have to say for now.
Okay, I guess we can schedule for the next meeting. The only thing I can tell you, Paul, is that there is nothing nefarious going on our side, and that Greg was brought in to research this for us. It took a week to 10 days, and what we presented to you yesterday was the result of what we got from him a couple of days ago. So if you want to have schedule at our next session, we'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, okay, that would be helpful. And we'll get back to you with some more information requested on it, because I don't think enough research has been done based on that last meeting. And we'd like to have a copy of that September meeting that you record based on that conversation. So I guess we're just a little bit thrown off as to the change, because I don't see any clear evidence there that dates back to that 1973 discussion we had. You know? And I can't.
I wasn't on the board or lived in town in 1973, so I don't know what you're referring to, the discussion.
I'm referring to the conversation, Mr. McGowan, that we had at our last sewer commission meeting that was recorded, where you asked Lisa to spend maybe 3, but no more than 5 minutes looking to see what maybe other homes and properties spend. It's on the recording. I mean, we don't have to repeat it. I think you have it. I'd like a copy. But that's what we were under the impression you were doing. I understand this information that Lisa sent forward, but I don't see what you sent us is there's no evidence that you're saying 75 board or whatever was known prior had paid a betterment. But what we're trying to understand from records that maybe are on file is in 1973, a sewer line was placed on Border Street that ended at the Border Street Bridge. And that, as Mr. Sawchuk said, you didn't just put a sewer stub there back then, that maybe there was a state betterment paid for, et cetera. So let's look into that. And we're more than willing to do some research. We thought Lisa was doing it, but we just want the ample time now to do it on our end, because I don't think we've gone far enough back. And that's what I thought the commission was asking of in our September meeting.
Okay.
And we'd also like to know, this is Jill Tedeschi, we'd also like to know sort of the process by which you ask people for betterment for new properties. I mean, it's hard to believe that 16 months would go by and that we would receive a letter asking after we received our sewer permit and after we received our certificate of occupancy. I mean, what is the process usually? Do you allow people 16 months later and then, request a betterment fee? I mean, our feeling is the reason we were not asked for the betterment is because we were told there was no betterment.
So if I may speak, the process would be you would get the approval letter in writing. And that was the March 16th, 2020 letter that I refer to and is part of the packet. And that clearly states that a fee, the privilege fee, was due.
Which we've stated we never received it.
Yeah, this was pre-COVID. We were living on Stockbridge Street. Every piece of mail that you had sent us was Stockbridge Street. And clearly on that first letter that you said you had sent to us was Stockbridge Street. I mean, we never received that letter. I mean,
we are asserting and attesting to you that we never had knowledge that a betterment fee of that magnitude was owed by us for that property. And I would suspect if someone owed me $37,500, I would make attempts, whether written demand letters like you would send us after the fact, but wouldn't you call or notify us or tell one of your inspectors they can't go forward until this is resolved? None of that was known to us until you sent the demand letter just a few months back that started this whole conversation. So you issued us a permit based on research and conversations we had with Lisa, and then this changed. Something happened along the way that we weren't understanding, and to come back after the fact, again, it makes no sense in logic why you would give us a permit to allow us to proceed without collecting those dollars and notifying us of what was owed.
In the past, the way the sewer commission worked, well, the way I worked with the building department as far as permitting goes, I was not part of the sign off. And that process has been fixed this time, where right now I'm part of that process. We had a previous building inspector, and the communication was broken, but right now it's not. And right now, all those approval letters are being put up in Permitize as well. And any certificate of occupancies at this time is being, sewer has a sign off on that.
But that wasn't in place when we were
Right.
purchasing this
It
property.
was not.
That
was
would
not
have
in
been very,
place.
yeah, it would have been very helpful to have that knowledge prior to us closing in the property, which was after we got that information from you.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
then too, if you, so again, COVID was part of the reason why this slipped through the cracks as well, because we weren't in the office.
This was, Lisa, I'm sorry, this was
Lisa.
pre-COVID. We started our conversation with Mr. Federico, who was in the call. We have an email dated December of 2019. Our conversations with you were February of 2020. We had that email exchange. We closed in the property February 14th. So it was early on in COVID. Nothing had changed.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
Right, but what I'm saying, Paul and Jill, is that in March of 2020, we pretty much shut down the middle of March.
So while we have you and the board's here, so let's now go back to the letter that you say you had sent us in March of 2020, which when you sent us a copy, you signed. Again, whether that was actually mailed at the time or not, we can leave for another day. You demanded a 42,000 plus. You said we had a 5-bedroom, yet in your earlier communications that we have email, you said we were approved for a 4-bedroom. So why did a 5-bedroom bill get mailed to us? You know, so in other words, it just seems like it was just a shot in the dark. Oh, these people owe us money. We'll just bill them for this. There was
No,
paperwork.
I apologize for that. It wasn't a shot in the dark. It was going back and looking at the plans on Permitize and looking at the plan. It looked like you had 5 bedrooms.
That was
And that was
never
my
ever
mistake.
stated from
Yeah.
day one.
So we can continue. I know there's other people on your call. We'd like to
How does
continue
the
next
board feel?
meeting. And I would like to ask for a copy of the September recording of our conversation with the Sewer Commission.
Right,
So
I'll ask Lisa to send you a Zoom coordinate. You can hear
We
it.
typically don't, Bill,
we
per
don't? Okay.
town policy, we don't send the Zoom recordings, but it is on YouTube on the internet.
Okay, so we can access, if you could send us a link to where we could locate that.
Sure, I can send you the link.
Sorry,
you.
I'm just curious how the board feels right now with this conversation with Lisa just saying that there was an error and a disconnect between the sewer commission, the building inspector, it was our error. How does the board feel about that right now? I'm just curious, since this is all fresh in our minds.
Well, Jill, I don't want to get into a rock fight right now, and because we do have other folks on the line. And I will say that in my opinion, not the board's opinion, that Lisa is absolutely right. That at the time that there was a different building inspector, he did things differently. And you may not like what I'm saying, but that's the way it was. And, if somebody made a mistake, we can't control. We're not all perfect. As I said earlier, there's nothing, we have not taken a position of a year or 2 years ago, whenever this started, to purposely throw rocks and go against you. We don't, it doesn't work like that. And I also, my own personal feeling is the betterment is what's paid by everybody who attaches to the sewer system, period. If you can prove to us that it was paid, then this will be over.
Okay, so we'll look for that link and then we can reconvene at the next meeting after we have some time to review this.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so we are now on to CJC.
All right, let me, we have Mr. Stasko on the line. And Mr. DeLisi. I'm gonna try. This thing keeps.
You should also have Mr. Negrati.
Let's see.
Hey, Lisa, I'm joining via my laptop.
right, I'm trying to promote everybody. It's just kind of my, bear with me for a minute, everybody, while I try to promote everybody. I think I need to use my, there we go. That's better.
Nice to see everybody.
Hi, Jeff.
Can I get Mr. Stasko up? Oh,
Do you
there.
really want Donald?
All right, I think I got everybody as panelists now.
Mark Negrati is Tony. I noticed, I thought I saw him in a chat
Yeah,
saying
there he is.
he's there.
And Greg, I think you should stay on for a few minutes and then you can exit if you wanted to.
Okay,
Good morning. Sorry, I had little troubles getting online.
no worries. Looks like you guys have, another piece of business or two after us. I had sent in an email to Lisa, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, requesting a hearing to see if we can get a final approval from the commission on our sewer plans, both most importantly on the site, but also within the layout of CJCH. The update since we last met is that Mass DEP has approved both our sewer extension plans within the layout of the road highway, as well as our sewer connection plans on the site. The sewer connection plans on the site also resulted in a permit issued by Mass DEP, which has jurisdiction over Title V matters, to allow us to connect on a temporary basis 10 of our residential apartments, 20 bedrooms of our residential apartments on a temporary basis in Stop and Shop system because they have excess capacity. That site work is something that I've been told will be issued a permit within imminently to allow us to do some work on the site to make that occur prior to a situation where the asphalt plants might stop. So we're trying to kind of commence our work, particularly on the site. We're moving forward with MassDOT and attempting to coordinate with them. And you guys have all our final approved plans. So we're looking for just essentially a blessing from you. Yes, we've received your plans. Yes, they're acceptable to us so that we can move forward.
I mean, we've done a review of the plans, both the on-site and the off-site. We have roughly about 30, 40 comments as far as maybe some additional information. One of the big things, though, I saw on the on-site, because that seems to be a focus, is you're doing almost like a phase construction, and you didn't really give us the final plans as far as how you're going to be transitioning all buildings into the connection. So maybe you can speak regarding that as far as in terms of schedule. Obviously, the sewer commission wants all the buildings connected. So I didn't know over what time frame you're going to be doing that, and if there's a plan set available to show that final connection detail.
So we're going to punt that, Mark, if that might be more of a engineering question.
Sure. I can try to help answer that. Mr. Coughlin, have you received the drawings for this on-site work with revision number 2 dated November 15th? Is that the plan set you're reviewing?
I
Because
believe I just received that, yes, from Lisa.
it does indicate the temporary connection from building 390 to 400 Stop and Shop system. That
Correct.
was approved by DEP for temporary connection. And it also shows the connections, permanent connections on that for building 390 and building 380. There are 2 pump stations.
And what about
proposed.
400?
400, that's a connection by 400, the building owner of 400, or actually the Stop and Shop people.
Right, so all 3 buildings
There is a future connection shown on the drawings.
for 400.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I'll take another look at that. The big question though is what's the schedule too? I realize it's a temporary connection being granted by DEP to the 400 septic. But what is the overall timeframe here?
Donald, you might want to jump in on your what you believe to be the time frame.
Okay, we'll be doing all the permanent connections to the sewer line in the spring of this year. Once we're able to start the construction, we're trying to start the construction down 3A March of this year. During that same period, we'll be doing the final connections from the 380 building to the sewer manhole, from the 400 building to the sewer manhole. The connection from the 390 building will already be in the landscape strip. We just need to have the work commence going down 3A to connect to it.
And Donald, what about, I think that Dan, don't get, if I misspeak, I think that Dan is asking for your recent from now plan to commence work on the site for the temporary connection of the 390 building into the Stop and Shop system, et cetera. Right? Am I right about that, Dan?
I'm looking for the entire schedule. I think
Okay.
what we need is a letter from you or from Dawn regarding, what the schedule is, so that, basically what we see before us is something that's going to transition. And if we approve the plan in some format, then basically we know when the work is going to be done. What we don't want to get involved with is approving the plan and then not, a year from now coming back and saying, well, when are we going to connect? So something in writing basically that gives us a schedule.
Well, you, I think that we've provided the board, I believe we have, with our administrative consent order with Mass DEP that sets out timeframes within which we're to have this work completed. I believe the time frame is 1 year from the date of the issuance of that document, which was approximately 2 months ago. So I think what Donald's telling you is we'd like to commence our on-site work imminently. We'd like to, once we have MassDOT approval and the winter's behind us, the beginning of the spring, commence our sewer extension work. And then, you're looking at probably, 6 to 8 weeks for that work to be completed. And then at that juncture, we'd be seeking to flip the switch and activate the connections. Donald, am I right about that?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to start next week to connect the 390 building to the Stop and Shop septic system and the line going up into the green space area. And then as soon as we get MassDOT's approval to start, which we're hoping in March of next year, 6 to 8 weeks, I'm saying we should be all connected by May of next year, all 3 buildings to the sewer system.
So I think all we really need is a single document that states just that.
Yeah, because does Mark have so we're just looking for a project plan that has a couple of the key elements to what's going to occur on the property between, say, December 1st and the completion. So it's just a simple project plan. I'm sure Mark may have something like that already in place, whether it's a you know, in an Excel or however you want to present it, but you know, is there anything going on in December, January, February? Is there anything going on? Nothing going to occur until March. And then if we start to have something occur in March, what is it? And then if it's expected to take 6 weeks, and then you hook up onto 3A. So we're just looking for those timelines and what kind of activity is going on the property each month that we need to anticipate executing that agreement that we have, in which we monitor certain aspects of the progress.
We'll get that over to you. But I guess what our hope for this meeting is to, you know, we're going to move forward with our work as soon as we receive our trench permit from Mr. Hallen, because we have our Mass DEP permit, and that work, even though it's shown on your plans, is actually is actually not necessarily, it has a relation to the sewer infrastructure, but it's not, you know, that work is to allow us to start as fast as we can so that we can be completed and have asphalt on top before the winter comes for the temporary connection on the site. And so our you know, our goal here is to let you know that we're going to begin that and ask you for whatever else that you need to give us our final approval, which it sounds like is a letter from Mark, and we'll do that.
Yeah, I think, like I said, we have about 30 or 40 comments on the plan set itself. What I'll do is I'll finalize that and get it over to Mark. I don't think there's anything really significant. There's some pipes that are less than 5 feet of cover and a couple other issues, but I think they can be fairly quickly resolved with Mark.
Okay.
And I think the big thing though is the schedule of construction, schedule of connection. You know, the key is, you know, we're anticipating to do periodic inspections here, and we have to know where you are relative to construction. If there's a site project manager you want to give us contacts for, we need to get that, okay, so we can be in contact and we can do inspections. I mean, you've already built some tanks out there that are going to be part of the final solution. And as far as I know, I'm not sure if those have been inspected, you know, how much stone is underneath the tanks, you know, where the tanks tested. Jason, you're on the line. I'm not sure if engineering has done any inspections out here. If you could.
No, there was no, that was unpermitted work, so no inspections were done.
Okay, so again, you know, we need to verify that all these tanks are built correctly, have been tested, all the pipelines are tested. And that needs to be coordinated with your site super or your foreman, okay? And to date, it's been unsupervised, uninspected, and as far as I know, untested. And we gotta get ahead of this at this point in time.
Yeah.
We don't want
and we're gonna be looking for that inspection, you know, quickly, if you're able to do it. So if we coordinate with you, we'll have our project manager coordinate that.
So a question to Jason. Jason, if the tank is not permitted, when is that going to be permitted? Do you have any idea?
The tank, I have an answer to that, Bill, if you want me to give you the answer.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so
as long as it's the same answer that Jason was telling me.
The planning
my point
board,
was, when it was put in, it wasn't permitted. It's now part of his permit set with DEP. So when work was actually done, there was no permit in place.
Right, even though it's permitted with DEP, though, it hasn't been inspected. That I know. I mean, DEP typically doesn't do the inspections. So, I mean, it's a concern that, you know, the work is supervised and done properly. And I'm not, you know, we're going to have to do this, you know, post-mortem or whatever after construction.
Well, as long as we have it on this, as long as we know it's out there, that we can look at it. So I would.
Yeah, Jeff, do you have full planning board approvals?
So we have planning board approval for years ago when we obtained our planning board approval. Our plan set that was approved approved of a, I believe, a 12,000 gallon tank in the location where the tank was put, which Jason says was not permitted. That is now a 10,000 gallon tank. The permit that we did not receive was just a trench permit to actually open it up. What occurred was there was a conversation with the building inspector and myself. Basically, don't cover it up. Let's get our final approvals. The jurisdictional authority to issue the actual permit to allow us to do the work on the site related to the Stop and Shop system is Mass DEP. And Mass DEP last week approved those plans, issued that permit. You have that in your file. We have a planning board meeting scheduled for approximately a week and a half from now, which is being reviewed by Weston and Sampson. And the scope of that planning board process and review is to approve all of the work that was done, which is different than the work that was approved years ago. And the reason, one of the primary reasons why there are any differences in the two plans is because the planning board had allowed us to slide the 390 building a few feet back for purposes which we don't need to get into now. And now that has impacted the site, the other major impact to the site is the fact that there was a very large septic system that had been approved by the Board of Health and then was pulled back also by the Board of Health. And so since we're no longer constructing that system, there's an impact to the site. So the planning board will be reviewing that impact, and that's going to be about a week and a half from now. But I had a conversation with Mr. Hallen, the building inspector, yesterday, and he's comfortable issuing the trench permit to allow us to do the work that's necessary to connect the tank to the Stop and Shop system in accordance with the plans and in accordance with the approval by Mass DEP and its permit. So that's where we're at.
Okay, I mean, generally speaking, my experience with the sewer commission is they do not approve until the planning board also has approved. So I'm not sure if, that's going to impact the board's decision. Typically, they look to see the planning board approvals to ensure that what they're looking at is indeed going to be the product that's going in the ground.
The planning board is really not going to get involved in sewer infrastructure matters
Park One, Dave Sheehy, Park
in
One.
relation to, it's not going to get involved in subsurface matters involving sewer infrastructure.
Well, you just talked about the tank being 12,000 and 10,000. There's a difference there that's going to be reviewed by the planning board. So, I mean, you said that's in a week?
A week and a half, yeah.
A week and a half?
Yeah, I think that by the time we have our meeting, you probably will have your meeting. So I don't know if, if you get planning board approval, that's great. In the interim.
Yeah, this is for temporary septic anyway. I think if you want to add this piece of it, Dan, we can put this on the master plan that he has, this project plan, so that we could jump right into making sure that the tank situation that you see is what you think it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's where they're starting, that might be where we start. So if we can get it on the project plan, we'll take a look at it.
Well, let's get this straight. I mean, this board does not have any jurisdiction over our septic related matters, right? So,
right, but if you're installing components that are going to be used eventually for it, for the sewer connection, that's a concern because those components have to be tested, observed, inspected.
And that's why we're here is, the first stop in that process is to have this board say, okay, we're good with those plans. And then the second stop is the installation and the inspection part. So we're asking for you to, you've had these plans by and large for quite some period of time now, to give us this approval. At what point do we, what are we gonna wait until the snow comes?
Well, just for the record again, Jeff, you haven't been here the 3.5 years that some of us have been here dealing with this. So we're not sandbagging you, if that's what you're alluding to.
No, I'm not.
Now, may I finish? May I finish?
I just want to move along. I want the process to move along. I don't.
Believe me, so do I. Believe me. So let me finish if I may. We'll ask Dan to hook up with Mark and to resolve whatever outstanding issues he has, so that by the next meeting, we can vote and approve it. How's that?
When's your next meeting?
I don't know. We haven't scheduled it yet. It would be 2 weeks from today. So whatever that is.
December 7th.
December.
Donald, do you have any input on that time frame?
Can I just say something for
Please.
a minute?
Yeah.
Basically, Don, you have 10 months. If we say that the 2 months ago started the thing, I have no problem with a schedule that takes that 10 months and have you do it in 5 months or 3 months or something. Meaning, I'd rather have you sort of under promise and over deliver, and have a schedule that Dan can live by going, okay, this is the period of time and stuff, so that we take that off the table, because going down the highway you can have delays and going a thing. But I also think that you're gonna, when you have the opportunity, you're probably gonna say, why don't I put in a dry pipe from 380 and bring it on over to where the pump is gonna be, so that over the winter it can settle down and do, and be able to pave when you go to pave the whole parking lot over. So if you want to do things like that, we should just say, this is what I plan on doing, this is what I plan on doing here. And then we can put those components that are part of the sewer and not get into little things saying, oh, I'm just doing that for the septic system, so it doesn't count for you guys and stuff. So I think it's going to be very simple to have that little, you must know now, because you're going to be spending the money and everything, that this is the schedule we'd like to do. If you get that and give it to us within 2 weeks, we'll sign that. It's not a,
Yeah, and I think I could probably incorporate, there are some concerns, but I could probably recommend some general comments or notes that Mark can put on the plans that would, make us feel a little more comfortable as far as where we're at. But like I said, I can get Mark those comments. We can go back and forth a little bit. I would think he'd be able to revise the plans sometime next week. And
that shouldn't be a problem, revising the plans if there's some concerns. What I am concerned with is Route 3A, the work on Route 3A. I need to go to DOT with an approved set of plans from the commission for their approval. I also have to go in front of the Conservation Commission for their approval too. And I like to have that happen over the winter months, so that way Mr. Sasko can start work in the spring of 2022.
Yeah, I can go over those right now with you. I don't have that many comments on the 3A work.
Okay.
The one thing I'd like to see on the plans is the approximate location of the water main. I know you have the test pits located on there.
Yeah.
But from my perspective,
I have to say that we've researched the water main, and I think Mr. Federico could speak to this. We've contacted the town. The town does not have available record drawings with that. So we call for excavation by test pits by vacuum excavation to locate the water main as an early part of the project, the first task, if I may. And we can't go on Route 3A without an access permit to do that work. So that's an early action item to do that test pit. We locate the water main. We have 2,000 feet of run that if we need to make an adjustment to dive that location of the sewer main down a little bit deeper to avoid that water main, we will.
Yeah, I realize you're doing
and that's something that's going to have to be addressed in the field.
I realize
if we need to do a revision of the drawings, then we will, and we'll keep you up to speed with that.
Okay.
But it's important. We don't know exactly where that water main is, and I don't think the town knows where the water main is.
I think the town has an idea where it is, and that's my only point.
No, we
one
don't.
thing-
There's no as-built for that pipe on record, and we only have a few tie cards for any of the service lines on that section of road.
Okay, but that information can't at least be shown on the plans?
I gave it to Mark, and I believe he incorporated that, whatever we had.
I used the information that we have to show the water line to our best knowledge where the water line is located today, where we believe.
And what about trying to find it? Acoustic soundings, anything like that? Nothing?
Best way to find a
It's
water
a
main
pipe.
is to do a test pit,
Excuse me?
vacuum excavation test pit, so that way you know horizontal and vertical location.
Right. My concern is where you're running parallel with the roadway, if you're going to be too close to that water main or not. And, you know, the contractor doesn't know because there's nothing at all shown on the plans. And
Well,
you're saying
I-
that's the best information you have.
We all know once we start to work out there and we start excavation, we have to call dig safe. And at that point in time, the town's obligated to mark out the water line to their best of knowledge, to their best of their knowledge.
Right, but you just said that they don't know that. My only point, I guess, is there should be additional provisions for additional test pits, I guess, vacuum excavation test pits. And if we believe the water line is on the sideline someplace, maybe we should locate that if it's proximate to the sewer.
Putting a couple of extra test pits should not be a problem
Okay.
on the plans.
Now,
The other aspect in there too is, you know, we have basically requirements, and the state has requirements for basically watertight bolt down manholes. And I know that you're showing the standard MassDOT manhole cover in there.
Yep, they are bolted down.
Excuse me?
They are bolted down. They changed a few years back. They require bolt down casting.
Yeah, that's not what's shown on your plan. So you'll be
It's-
revising that then.
No, it's referred to a detail on the state details. So
Yeah, the state detail is not a bolt down, I believe.
It
that you
is.
referenced.
it
The one
is,
you referenced?
yes.
Okay. Well,
Can I make a suggestion that, Dan, you and Mark go offline and go
Sure.
through all the nitty gritties on this?
yeah, we can do that too. There really isn't that much. And you don't have any borings or augers along the line at all? Nothing along the route? You've done it?
No
No
boring done.
Okay. Groundwater determinations, anything like that? So you know how much dewatering you have out there? No?
We didn't do any borings on this, so we don't know exactly where the water, groundwater is.
Yeah.
There are some assumptions based on the locations of the wetlands.
Okay, I mean, those are the key points, so I don't think there's that much
Okay.
if you say it's addressed, so we can go over that as well.
Sure.
All right. Keep us apprised then on what goes on, so we can, but we can put that on an agenda item for the 7th of December then.
and Mark, have you researched at all the bank of conduits that the telephone company has on one side of the highway?
We did. I went back to our surveyor, Chapel Engineering, and they went out in the field again and they located the where the telephone duct bank. They located a manhole and where they believe the duct bank is located in the field. We also addressed another point of concern about some topographic survey over by Station 89. So we addressed that too on Mr. Kaufman's initial letter.
Good,
Yes.
because
We also have as-built of our crossing, the existing crossing, and I don't think it's shown properly there. Maybe we need to just take another peek at that to show there's a manhole missing, a line missing in terms of that. But we should show the sewer connection.
If you have a different drawing than I do, please share that with me. I'll be happy to show it.
Yep, I will.
Okay, so we'll let you guys carry on and then we'll see everybody else on the 7th.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay. So now we have the Cook Estate.
Yes, we have the Cook Estate. Should I promote everyone to panelist?
Well, I think it would be, I mean, it seems like there's a bunch on the call here. Or Who is
there.
actually going to be speaking on behalf of
I'm trying to, how do I,
on behalf of the Cook Estate? Is there going to be one person sort of running the charge here?
I think you just unmuted me. This is Jane. I would say Sean Hardy, who's our engineer, and myself are the two primary.
Okay.
And I assume Pam is as well. Yep.
Yeah, I can speak as well.
Okay, so you've asked for the meeting, Jane, so if you want to start off.
Great. The Board of Health issued a letter to us effective on Friday that basically states that we've accomplished in trying to figure out why we have a breakout and whether systems 2 and 3 are in failure or not. We've done everything you guys and the Board of Health have asked us to do. I believe the letter details and all the supporting documents detail all of the various things we've done, including testing the forced mains, digging test pits and wells at various points in the site to see the water, groundwater. We've had a leak detection company in. We've been pumping since a year ago, last October, to the tune of about 10 grand a month, a little bit more actually some months. We've hired an engineer, Sean Hardy, who's with us, representing us and coordinating this work for us. And as of the date of the letter on the 16th, approved by the Board of Public Health, basically finding our system in failure and recommending to you, the Sewer Commission, that we be allowed to move on to town sewer as quickly as possible, so that we don't contaminate the water supply of Peppermint Brook, which is on the other side of the driveway from where the breakout is. Is that a good summary, Pam and Sean, or what would you like to add?
That's a good summary. So there are certain circumstances in which the Board of Public Health can use their authority to order someone to connect. And in this situation, it's been determined that there is no way that they can upgrade the septic system. It's time to connect to sewer. Whenever sewer is available, that is the top priority according to Title V, they should connect to sewer. And in this case, the contaminated groundwater that's running down their driveway, it's going into storm drains, it's connected hydrogeologically to the Lily Pond watershed system. So it does constitute a threat to public health. So they do need to connect as soon as possible.
So Pam, just a quick question. Typically, when we set up a new district, it has to go before the town to be voted. In this circumstance, if it's an emergency action, does that obviate that need?
It does. That's exactly it. So we did have the letter reviewed, or the order letter reviewed by town council, and they felt that the circumstances were correct in this situation.
Okay. Okay. So I'll speak for myself and not the board, but it looks like, our next set of action is to figure out how best to connect them to the closest existing sewer pipe.
Great.
Yeah, there is no sewer that I'm aware of except for where Deer Hill is at the moment. Yeah.
Right. And that might be the best course of action, to go that way than going in another direction.
So Pam, you said your letter is to hook up to sewer within 24 months of your action, of the date of the letter?
We did say 24 months. From a practical standpoint, it would actually be better to do it within 1 year, because Sawyer Street's due to be paved. And, once it's paved, there's a 5-year moratorium. So their engineer, Sean Hardy, is going to look at the different alternatives, do a cost benefit analysis. But if they need to go up directly to Deer Hill, it really needs to get done sooner than later.
We did talk about this, I think, at one or two of our last meetings with the folks that run the plant. They were going to evaluate the pumping station at Deer Hill as an action item. So we have not heard back from them yet to see if that is in a position to handle additional flow. I'm sure it was designed to, but the question is, how aged is the pumps and where do we stand with that station? So we're waiting to hear from them on that evaluation.
My understanding, it will need some upgrades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will town meeting approval to put a line in either the conservation area of land that I think the town owns and or the Deer Hill School property itself, going up the back of the building or something like that? Do they need approval from town meeting to, to get a permanent easement or whatever is needed? I think going down Sawyer Street would mean that they'd get down by the driveways and have to put a pump station there to get up over the hill to get into where our pump station is. So if there's an ability to go gravity the whole way to the pump station, then that's what would be ideal. Or I guess pump it as the other alternative.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the first task for Sean, right, is to come up with the various alternatives and come up with the costs and the pros and cons, basically.
So Sean is working for Cook Estate, not the town, right? Okay.
Right.
So I would ask Sean to liaise with Dan Coughlin closely, so that whatever solution you prefer is something that we can do.
Okay.
So Pam, is your letter for the entire property that's there? Because I understood that a portion of it was working okay, and then maybe 2/3 wasn't and 1/3 was. So is it all or none on this?
It actually makes more practical sense to do the whole thing, because really there was kind of a data gap at the end. They were supposed to do, one of the consultants was supposed to do a cross section through the fields 2 and 3, and they didn't. So it kind of remains a data gap. I mean, all in all, when you read the historical reports, it just seems like the soils were just never going to be able to support these leaching fields. So it's better just to do the whole thing. And cost-wise, I'm not even sure if it makes that much of a difference.
Yep. Pam, does your letter actually state the entire property needs to be connected to sewer?
Trying to see what the final wording is in this thing.
I sort of took it that it was because of the piece on the front page in the second paragraph that to protect public health and environment, the Cook Estate is ordered to connect. So it doesn't make any.
Yeah.
The concern is we're still continuing to see breakout, even though they're pumping, and we can't determine where that breakout's happening. So we'd like to see the entire property connect as part of this for protection of the water supply.
And that is what the final sentence of the order does say.
Yeah. Do you have any, I haven't studied it, but any idea of what kind of quantities you are pumping, or what kind of quantities are coming out on a daily basis?
Last we talked was 7,500 total for the property.
That's what it was designed for. But the real actual practical use, Sean, do you know, is it like half that?
I don't know that it's quite half that, but I mean that as when the Title V, the design flow is generally considered, with that factor of safety built in there. So that's the design, and I guess that goes with some of the peaks depending on activity for specific times of year and things like that. So,
can you get a report from the water department of what their consumption actually is from all the meters? And historically, they could give it to you over a couple of periods.
We can get that to you guys. We've also been pumping since a year ago, last October, and Paul Davis, who I believe is on the phone on this call, he has records of that because that's what he charges us for. So, and It's a monthly number.
He's pumping groundwater when he's pumping the septic also, unless he's taking it just out of the tanks.
It's out of the tanks. I think.
Out of the tanks.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's what he's been pumping from 2 and 3, not 1 and 4.
Right, but is he pumping it, does he pump them empty, or does he, or are they full and being, water being discharged from it until the next time he pumps?
Paul, are you on the phone and can you answer that?
I can make this easy. I can very quickly pull a report, a 10-year report on the usage of all those properties. It'll take 10 minutes.
Great.
We use it as part of the rate study, so I can provide it to whoever needs it.
Paul is also on the phone. Paul, could you answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, to what Wayne was asking, we're pumping their 5,000 gallons at a time. So they're never completely empty. They never get all the way full. I don't have exact numbers. I didn't look at that, but certainly I can as far as specific gallons.
But you're not pumping the entire property, right? You're only pumping the areas of concern.
Right. We're doing tanks for the systems 2 and 3, 1 and 4. We are not pumping.
Okay, so Jane, we're looking for the water readings for the entire property because the entire property is going to be sewered, so we can get a rate, right?
So one question is, does the irrigation system have a separate meter as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And Jane, is the entire property built out, or is there room for more units to be built?
We're built out 100% at 27 houses, which is what we're authorized for. So the only space, once the septic systems are no longer usable, there may be room for additional housing, 1 or 2 houses, but that is not part of what we're asking at all. I mean, that we know that would be, if we did it to try and recoup some of the costs, that would be a completely different set of, we'd have to analyze it.
Okay.
Well, I'm wondering, I mean, if you're thinking there are going to be 2 more, whether we should.
I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I hesitate to even say it. It's a big chunk of land once the septic systems go. That's just been a pipe dream idea, but not anything that has any. There's no plan necessarily to do it.
It makes a lot of sense to consider it, though.
I agree.
Otherwise,
Yeah, there's the old Avalon, they have excess capacity if they could add more units up there, and that's something they didn't think about for years, and now new owners are up there thinking about it. So I just wanted to understand if there was capacity for additional units. We would want to make sure
There's not in our condo docs, but that could, it certainly has come up as a way to try and recoup for our owners some of the cost of what we're going to be undertaking and have undertaken so far.
Another thing is you should likely consider some generators for the pump station when you have them, so that when we have these outages like we seem to have more and more, the systems can still operate.
Yeah, we certainly have. Thank you, Sean. You'll make note of that. 90% of the houses required a generator because of most of them were operating on a forced main pump anyway. So we have, and they're connected to generators into our current system. There's one of the 4 systems that's gravity, and 3 are forced.
Well, I guess the next step then would be for our engineers to get together and look at this. Again, my preference would be to go up to Deer Hill so we don't go down Sawyer Street. I don't want to, once we have a line in front of Fair Oaks, and once we have a line close to the Avalon guys, they might want to tap into it, and we don't have the capacity for it. I think and we can confirm this, but I believe we have the capacity to handle your stuff right now.
Yeah, it had been determined, I think, about a year or 2 ago that the 7,500 a day plus the CJC properties are within the capacity.
At least based on the public records I could find.
Right.
there seems
That's
to be a
correct.
property. Yeah. So there's also, I just raise it, the option of hookup into Stasco's, CJC's sewer line from the back. It's not something that would, in my mind, be our first choice. I'd much rather go behind the properties and to the Deer Hill pumping station behind the school if that's feasible to avoid that. But I believe there is some wetlands back there. It's not exclusive wetlands, but looking at it, there's a portion that would have to go through that area.
Well, I can tell you that, you know, we'd have to do a full evaluation of what the best way to move the sewer from your property. Right now, there is no sewer line at CJC. There wouldn't be a sewer line if everything went well until June.
I see.
Yeah, so we're not, you know, the only sewer line there is up at Deer Hill. I don't think we consider something that doesn't exist yet.
Great. We're happy with that, Paul. So it's not, I'm not advocating, it just becomes an option if the other two are either hugely cost prohibitive, because I assume the Cook Estates will be paying for, I don't know that we pay for an upgrade to your pump, but certainly we pay for the connection from the pump to our system and any retrofitting that needs to happen in our system, correct?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, we'd have to have our own engineers and the operators of the plant come back to you and tell us, you know, if there has to be an upgrade to the pumping station. I mean, you know, that probably would have to be borne by you, as well as any engineering costs or stuff that we have to take to do it. But I don't think there was a whole lot. I think we did ask Woodard and Curran to look at that, and I'm not positive they came back with a lot of. I mean, I think there might have been some remedial stuff, if that's my recollection.
There was some remedial stuff, but the big question here is standby power. You know, we would probably need a generator moving forward, especially if Cook Estates has generators for their units. Normally, the Deer Hill schools, if you don't have power, they send everybody home. So in this case, we need to keep that station running. So most likely, a generator would have to be provided.
We're not talking a large amount of power, are we?
No, we're not.
Okay.
My guess it's probably 25, 30 kW.
There is a generator at Deer Hill, but isn't it go to the pump station?
I don't believe it has that powered up as part of its load.
I'll have the capacity.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one too. I mean, from what if I'm looking at the right thing.
I'm pretty sure it powers the both buildings.
So Pam, is there any funding mechanisms at all when you declare an emergency such as this to allow property owners to help with the expense of something of this nature that comes unforeseen?
Actually, there is something that is for people that have septic systems that fail and in fact connect onto the sewer as an alternative, where you can borrow the money at a fairly small amount. It was done on Pleasant Street, but I think it was probably misguided in that particular instance. But there is a fund of, I think it's over $1 million or something like that, that you could potentially borrow against.
Are you talking about that old colony system?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was applicable. I know it's supposed to be for people upgrading their septic systems, but I wasn't sure if it could be used to connect to sewer.
Yeah,
I was going to talk to Paula and Harris, who kind of runs the program here at Town Hall, and ask her what the story is with that.
I think that in that case, it absolutely would work.
Okay.
It was a case that what happened recently was when there wasn't a failed system. Somehow it turned out to be a loan to pay our connection fee, but it went through and but using it for the septic systems, where you have a septic system that fails, and in fact you could tie into the sewer, I think that would be a good.
An existing system with a failed system would qualify for the loan program.
Great. That's good news.
Yeah, also, I don't know if the state has, is it technical assistance funding available for these folks. Most often they do put things in place to pay for people like Sean or to actually reimburse the sewer department for all of the work that we're going to have to do to investigate the system as well. So if that's something you're familiar with, or
No.
How's it going?
okay.
Great, thank you.
Happy
Question. From a process standpoint, I pulled the information and I haven't spoken to Lisa myself, but there are 27 separate homes and they're either 2 or 3 bedrooms that in terms of authorized. And as I pull the information down for residential lots, I don't know how you would consider us because we're a condominium, but people own their own homes, right? So, if it's a 3/4 of an EDU, it's 28, 125, right? So would each home, and maybe this is too early to ask, but would each home be applying, would you have an application from each of the 27 homes and each of the homeowners be responsible for that, if you will, $28,000 to put, I think if I read 15% down in a betterment over 10 years to pay that amount if the homeowner chose. And then the association would be responsible for all the costs of hookup, engineering, and all the running, if you will, of we're transitioning our existing system into one that can work with the town sewer. Is that a correct assumption? Or somebody, I think it was Mr. Stasko, told me that there's no way that the sewer commission will do that, and I just didn't know how the process would work.
So what is your charter as an association? Are you registered with the town as one, or are you registered as 27 individual residents and units?
It's a good question. I don't want to give you an answer, but I know I pay taxes on my own home and I'm registered. I have a water bill and I pay my own water bill. I pay my own, taxes to the town as the owner of 31 Chittenden Lane. And then there are expenses that the condo takes care of, the general, like the septic system and the water and the lights of the poles outside and the irrigation system and so forth. So I definitely am a tax-paying homeowner, as are the other 26 residents here.
Yeah, so are you a homeowner in an association neighborhood, or are you condominiums that are run by an association?
A condominium's run by an association, but I own my individual home. I've also this is my 3rd sewer hookup, by the way, in this town that I've paid for. Haha. 78 Elm Street, half paid for by the town. The Caravel on the Little Harbor Sewer District, that was a condominium. But the way you guys dealt with us, or the town dealt with us, was each individual unit owner owned their own condominium unit and paid their own water bill. And I know I had a betterment in order to hook up for my 2-bedroom condo. So it was done, meaning it was done separately.
Now, at the time of those betterments, I think we had a betterment of $28,000 roughly. And it didn't matter how many bedrooms you had when it went through. But I think today with a 2-bed, most of the units are 2-bedroom, that would be, as you pointed out, half of the fee.
Yeah. Wayne, can I just add something? I know there were different fees because I was on the little board of our condo, and each, depending on how many bedrooms were in our unit that I owned, depended on the hookup fee that for the pleasure, privilege of the connection fee. So even then, I know it was different from unit to unit, depending on how the town had us registered, 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom or 3 bedrooms.
Okay, good.
So I thought at least that's the only knowledge I have.
Dan, do you have anything on that?
Well, we'd have to look at it. It'd be good to get a listing of each of the 27 parcels and the number of bedrooms in each. I'm not sure if I have that. And then we can look at different options, but my guess is it would probably be cheaper just to look at the total flow and to, divide that by 440 and come up with an EDU count for applicable costing.
Yeah,
Instead of
and I think to add to that, I think once we get that list, it would be, Lisa, if you could send that off to Greg and ask an opinion of him.
Okay, will do.
And who provides that list? Does the town have that list? Or is that something we provide?
You provide, I mean, we don't know who's, we don't know what's going on there. I mean, yeah, if you can provide us just a list of the homes and the number of bedrooms.
Okay.
We probably.
Kevin, I can help you with that too, getting you the usage for each of the units too. So I'm off the rest of the week, but if you want to regroup at the beginning of next week, I can help you out with that.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, what will happen will be that each person that with the water in the water bill is going to get a sewer bill. So it'll be based on how much flow as far as after it's connected. So I think that there may be an opportunity through the old colony thing to make each unit a single person that potentially could be paying for the value of their share of the construction costs, as well as the whatever the convenience fee is for the connection to the sewer. So because the town has been reluctant lately to be able to have us allow the connection fee to be paid over a period of 10 or 20 years, even though they'd be getting interest. They just sort of didn't, not wanting to do that. And I think this is a perfect case where it absolutely should be able to do that, because it's the right thing to do, I think, instead of trying to put up, what might be $40,000 or something onto an existing on each of 27 houses. It's just.
Yeah, this is Tom Flannery. It's clearly a hardship for many of the homeowners here, and it was an unforeseen expense.
Right. And I don't know, I was going to say it's sad that I looked through all the documentation and I said, these are the things that I said at different meetings, that, there are places where water travels through the ground, and if you go ahead and try to block it, they'll want to go somewhere. I didn't see any test pits that went over 7 or 8 feet deep. And I said, why didn't they get down 20 feet or 25 feet and see what's really down below the hill? Because there is gravel there somewhere. So it was, so they were able to get it. I think they ended up with three perk tests in 1.5 acre area that they thought was going to handle 7,500 gallons a day.
And if I just, go ahead, Jean.
Wayne, this is Jean Livingston. I actually live at 63 Chittenden in the Cook Estates. And I just wanted to state a few things. I don't believe, we don't own the building itself. It's owned by the condos, and the articles of incorporation and the bylaws specifically state I own studs in coverage, just like a typical condo. The association pays a blanket homeowner policy for the entire project, so they own the buildings. I will say that when I've lived in Cohasset over 45 years and owned 6 or 7 other homes, the reason why we moved here is because I was hoping that at some point in time my husband could retire, and that's why we sold our other home and downsized basically to live at the Cook Estate. At the time I was concerned because I was advised that there was going to be issues with the septic system. So I went to Tom Hamilton and I went to Bob Shepard, the builder of my home, and they assured me that there wasn't going to be any issues with the septic system. I went to Joe Godzik, and spoke to him about it as well. But now here I am, 63 years old. I'd like my husband to retire. We're sitting in a home that I'm paying almost $15,000 per home, approximately $380,000 a year for this project. We don't get any town services, as you're aware. We pay to plow, we pay to do everything here. And quite frankly, most of the people are over 60, some in their 70s and 80s. and people can't put their home on the market. They're being held hostage because we don't know the cause of this, and we need to address it. And it's a scary situation, to be honest. When I purchased my home, I went to the Board of Health because I was told by Tom Hamilton that there was only three bedrooms homes up here. The rest of them are all bedroom units. So 24 are 2 bedrooms and 3 are 3 bedrooms. And I have it on my occupancy permit that I do indeed have a 3-bedroom home. So if that answers your question as to how many bedrooms there are, that's what I was advised, and that's what I have in writing. But it's hard. We have a woman that's going to assisted living, and her daughter, needs to sell the home, and it's, she can't afford, obviously, to continue to carry to move her mother into Sunrise. But we have no idea what the cost is going to be or how quickly we can get this done, and we're spending all this money every month, and it's like, we're just held hostage until some sort of a resolution of this project. It's a scary situation.
Well, I think I agree with all your comments, and I think that we certainly want to do whatever we can do with that's within our purview and ability.
Thank you.
This is Tom Flannery again. I guess the next steps would be then for Sean to continue his work to reach out to Dan and to pursue the activity to look between the hookup between the property and the Deer Hill pump. Is that correct? And then we'll reconvene as a group.
Yeah, that sounds good.
In the interim, are there any of the applications that I need to begin to work on? I guess a determination needs to be made whether it's going to be a homeowner that fills out that, or whether there's an application, if you will. So I just don't want to be negligent about doing something if there's something that I should be doing. Or
we can send you an application. I think Jane, it'd be best if we wait till we get a legal opinion from our own side to say, how do we want to approach this? Whether it be the individual occupants or a homeowner association or the condo association. That should happen pretty quickly. And then once we do that, we either send you one application or 27.
Perfect. Thank you. That's helpful. Because I'll be asked at a board meeting that we have in December about sort of the process and the timing, and of course they'll be looking for how much it'll cost, and maybe there's some progress we can make in the short term to evaluate what it would cost to at least bring the Deer Hill pumping station behind to us.
I think, Jane, this is, we just talked to the last subject matter CJC. We're going to have the same thing. We're going to have some sort of project plan, because right now we don't even know what kind of sewer we're going to put up there. So once we understand that 27 to 30 potential homes that are going to hook up with 7,500, then it's going to take our subject matter expert and the folks that run the plant to determine what the system could pump from there. And then it's a matter of, is it gravity or force main? And once we have an idea of what that is, we have to take a look at the site plan of a draft of something of, where are these homes? How far apart are they? How far are we running?
And that's exactly what Sean Hardy will be doing for us.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you on 10 acres up there, or, what do you?
I don't know.
I mean,
Or like 6 or 7.
Design wise, though, I think all of these houses are discharging to where these 4 failed septic systems are. I think it makes sense to collect them all right there where they're already heading anyway, and then have one discharge up to you guys.
Do you have any conceptual plans, Sean, that you could get to Dan?
it's scratched on a piece of paper at this point, just trying to see what the best route
Yeah.
is, but I'll have to try and get, if I can get Dan's contact, or whether I get that through the sewer commission office, or however I do that, I will be happy to reach out.
Just as, you know, a conceptual plan, because if we have an idea of what you're thinking, and Jane's going to, you know, garner the information as far as the homeowners go, then we can get to another meeting to say, okay, here's what we think collectively.
Yep. I
In
will
the
definitely
meantime-
reach out to Dan.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, given the gravity of this whole thing, I think it'd be best if somebody, and it might be Jane, well, first of all, we have the Cook Estate on our agenda for every meeting that we, you know, until we get this thing satisfied.
Right.
And then Jane, if you want to represent the group, there may be nothing for us to update you on, but it might be a good idea to stay close so that, you know, we don't miss anything.
That's perfect. And between ourselves and myself and Sean, and appropriately, if we need it, we have a lawyer who represents the association, Ellen Shapiro. I don't know if she's on today or not, but between us and I'm one of the other people that have spoken are two of our other board members, and Alicia. So I think there are 4 of us out of 5 that are on, and I've been the kind of point on this particular project, but it's been a joint effort.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's 2 pieces of information I think that would be helpful. One is for Greg, probably the incorporation documents for the HOA. More than
Sure.
likely, that's going to define who owns the septic systems. It's probably the HOA, not the individuals themselves.
Okay.
And then the other aspect would be for Pam, what was the original bedroom count or design base on the original design plans for Cook Estate? I don't know if you have that, just so we can use that to compare against what we have a list of.
I can send you the plans, a copy of them, the design plans and the as-built too.
It was 68. It was designed for 68 bedrooms spread over the 4 systems.
Excuse me, I have a question for the Sewer Commission, please. This is Alicia Babcock on Eldridge. Considering that we're going to be looking for the best avenue, by the time all of the plans will be drawn and approved, it will most likely be at least the middle of winter, possibly into early spring, before we'll be able to really do anything meaningful. We have been pumping, as you know, regularly, and I think Paul Davis can probably confirm that it really has not changed any of the breakout running down the hill at all. The system seems to be in fine operating order. It seems like it's just this groundwater issue. So whatever we're pumping out of the tanks is not changing the flow of water coming out of the hill. So I would like to request that the commission entertain the idea of allowing us to stop pumping and suspend that, because that is, we're really, these expenses are really accumulating, as you know, and as Jean Livingston explained, these are costs that are really becoming hardships for us up here. I just was, if you could consider that.
I think that's the purview of the Board of Health, not us.
I have one.
Yeah, we don't.
One thing to add, and is it possible to pump out the 2 failed systems and bring it over to the 2 systems that are actually operating on a temporary basis, so that you've got the treatment, and then if it causes a problem with the other one, you just have to stop it and have to take it off site.
Or to redirect from 2 and 3 into 1 and 4, especially where we're going into the winter. I don't know how much that would cost, but we go into the winter where at least half of our residents are not here. They're snowbirds. They go away for some up to 6 months and some 3 months.
The biggest cost is the disposal cost. So if Paul came up and took 5,000 gallons out and brought it over to the other, you'd be really talking about a trucking fee that might be a fraction of what it would be. But this, like Pam and stuff would have to look at it and say, is this going to accelerate the failure of the other systems to a point where it's going to cause a problem somewhere else?
So Alicia, thank you for bringing that up. And maybe with the Board of Health, Pam, we could consider that. Over
5,000 square feet in general. Yeah, I think, why don't we put you on our agenda for our meeting in December? I think that's really the appropriate place to talk about that.
Thank you. And in the meantime, if there's data we need to get in preparation for that, please let me know.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
I have just a question, practical. How do I best reach Dan Coughlin? How should I?
Lisa,
trying to think if you're on this link or not. Dan's address is on the link that you may have got, but I can have Lisa get to you, get all the details.
All right, so I'll email Lisa and just see.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for moving on this quickly. It certainly, as you got a sense, is not something that we anticipated or are happy about, but the faster we can move this process safely, of course, it's better for all of us. And if there is some funding that we could utilize to help us bridge, if you will, where we are and where we need to be, that would be really helpful. So any creative thinking, the Old Colony money is great. And if there's anything else, grant money, infrastructure bill money, I don't know. But if there's anything, we would be, very interested in figuring out what it is and how to pursue it.
So Jane, the only thing I ask is that, moving forward, since the Board of Health has issued their decree, I guess, we just need to identify, one or two points of contact for you. And then if there's any questions of your board or any comments or suggestions from anybody, that they speak to us directly when it comes to sewer.
Absolutely. Between Paul and the board ourselves and our attorney would be the key places, and we can we've been funneling through me most of the time and working with Pam and Jason pretty effectively in the midst of this bit of a mess. So
yeah, we just want to kind of streamline it so that we don't have 10 people talking to 10 different people. That's all.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Between Sean and I, we can coordinate that.
One final point, Jane, too, is the sewer commission really can't grant you permission to cross over school property to make such a connection. So if that's an alternative that Sean's looking at, you may want to try to make an appointment or go before the Board of Selectmen.
And I don't know, because I'm so new at this, Conservation Commission, there's a little place where there's water that if we went from the back of Deer Hill, as I looked at a map with you guys the other day, or some of you, that's also another, I don't know where in the process this stuff needs to happen. There also isn't a butter who, if we went back there, there's some of his property that we would have to come through.
I'm not an attorney, but I would think that the order that came from the Board of Health is going to trump a lot of these questions. I mean, if you have to do it, you have to do it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think that's going to allow you to cross over private property, though.
Oh, not private, but yeah, but we can get an easement or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And he is aware that, and of course, unofficially, that this was a possibility. I didn't pull out a map and go draw something, but I spoke with him about a month ago, saying that this was a possibility and that might be one of the things. But his house is far away from where this would be, so.
You'd obviously have to get his permission.
Absolutely. I don't know how officially that all works and gets done, but somebody will help me with that.
Okay.
So Ally has a hand up. Were you needing a question asked?
No, that's, I asked my question already. About
Okay, thought so.
Thank
Just
you.
wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot to lower my hand. Sorry. Thank you.
Thanks all.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So next on the agenda, we have 2 abatements.
Okay.
Those were sent to you all yesterday afternoon. The first one is for 1 Spindrift Lane. I guess they must have the Ware River water. And so they typically would send their readings of their second meter to Brenda to have the adjustments done prior to the sewer bills going out, but they didn't do that. So that's what this abatement is for. They didn't get their meter reading in time.
So what is she looking for, or are they looking for an average deduction, or is it a specific deduction, or?
It's $910, which is 8,700 cubic feet.
What do they typically do a month?
So they're about 300, 356 was the last quarter. The quarter before that was 470. I averaged in November of the last 4 years, it averaged about 601. Because the last 2 Novembers, November of 2020 and November of 2019, it was over $800. This time it's $1,245.90.
I'm trying to get into the sewer email, and it's telling me I don't have an account.
I was having trouble with email too.
Wonderful. Maybe it's telling me something.
So this is the Spindrift one, right?
Yes.
So I have it up on my screen. So when they have the second meter reading, that reading gets deducted from the first meter?
Yeah, it gets deducted from the water meter reading because it didn't go into the sewer system.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
The second meter was
Yeah.
probably was used for irrigation and such.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And usually that second meter reading is sent to Brenda prior to the billing going out, and Brenda just does the deduction at the office.
Yeah.
But this time they didn't get it in time.
So it appears during the summer of 19, they were averaging like
So if you look also all the way down at the bottom of that last page, it does have some notes in there. And there was an abatement the summer of, let me see. I thought it was summer of 19, but I could be wrong. And, let me see. I just saw that.
Yeah, they seem to be consistent with the second meter reading
Yeah.
credits. So. Well, their
Yeah,
recent
there's
home,
Yeah,
Are they
there's
recent
something-
homeowners to this?
Sorry.
I'm not sure how recent.
Yeah, they had a something on the 6th of October and 15. It says cannot credit. And there was an abatement on July the 27th of 16. It says to apply credit, apply abatement. But it doesn't say what. So if they've already had one abatement,
Well, it's because they didn't do the credits for the second water meter reading.
So
if you-
they seem to have had an issue in, if you do go to the last page, I guess, starting in October of 2019, emailed for a second reading, no second reading received, no second reading received in July or October of 2020, then upset with usage, email required for second reading. I don't know if there's a systemic issue with second readings over here, or are these notes from the water department when they received the calls? Yeah.
Yes.
and the water department did not give them an abatement, right?
No.
I don't think they can. That's a separate water system.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with this particular incident if, you know, none of the water had gone into sewer.
Yeah, but how do we know? You know,
Well, it's in the application that they signed.
yeah, again, how do we know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brenda I talked to Brenda. She'll advise them of that. So I tried getting more information, but email was a little sketchy and we never connected verbally. But Brenda seems to think that it's legit because they never got the second meter reading. So Brenda gets the readings from the Ware River, and then she bases her bills on that. And if she doesn't get the second meter reading from the homeowner, then they get billed for the whole thing. If she gets the second reading before the bills go out, she'll just credit it or deduct the reading from it because it's not going into sewer.
Well, I mean, I suppose if we, I guess I'd be in favor of granting it with the proviso, this is it, we're not doing it anymore. They've got to be more diligent in getting that second reading sent out.
Yeah, there's a systemic issue in 2020 with second reading, so I'm not sure what all that's about, but I would assume the property owner's going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, we can't do it, but.
Yeah, I agree.
Wayne, any comment?
No.
All right.
You're hard to read, Wayne. I don't know which way you're going.
No. Same old.
Lisa, how many of these people actually send in second readings?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You know how many people actually send in second readings?
I do not.
Charging, the water department still charging them to read the meter or no?
Well, they don't
read.
They may be charging you to read the meter. That's kind of my point. You know, but they normally would not go out here because these are not their meters, you know?
Right. But they probably, like you said, because they're still doing some clerical work. And they'll probably say it costs more to do it this way than if we read the meter. Of course, when reading the meter, they don't really read it. They just drive by.
it. Right. Yeah.
Right, I don't know if they have that
Actually, I don't think
capability.
they have to drive by either. They're wireless.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if those meters would, are accessible to them. That's the big issue. This might be the
They
only way.
also pay for their meters too. The second meters, I think they pay for those.
Yeah.
Well, they had to have a private plumber put them in. Generally.
Yeah.
Right. And they
Right.
probably, now, why don't they get a new meter that has the reader on it? And then she can read that
Read the meter.
deduction of leaving her chair.
Right.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
to these people, if they get the appropriate meter that can be read remotely by the internet. Or you call Brenda and say, what's the name of the meters that we use that they can, And it's funny, when you have a problem, you call Brenda and she does that printout in 5 minutes and you look at it, you say, why didn't she notice this huge, increase? They must have in their program the ability to be able to have it come out of the normal readings. If it's going 25% higher than it should be, have it bing her computer.
yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
So that's the deal.
Yeah. Well, I will make a motion to approve the abatement for 900, was it 921? For Spindrift, with the proviso that this is the last one that we'll give them.
That they get a meter that can be read electronically by the water department, by our water department.
I mean, I don't know. Can we tell them that? I don't know if we can. I mean, if we tell them we're not going to give them another abatement, doesn't, if they should go get another. Maybe we make a recommendation, they get another one.
The thing is, they probably bought the water meter from the water department, so.
But it's probably old.
If they, maybe.
It's really irrelevant.
Yeah.
We're going to give them the credit one time only. There's a systemic issue with reporting second meter readings, so it's not an issue for us.
Yeah. If Lisa wants to make the recommendation to them that they get a brand new meter that is wireless, that'd be fine, but
She'd have to check to make sure Brenda would end up reading it or getting the data though.
Yeah, see, we don't want to get into that.
I'm curious if that property is on the ones that they're reading that we're paying for.
I don't know.
And there's some responsibility on their end to get the reading.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe you should talk to Brenda.
I wanted to take that job over. I think they get $75,000 a year.
Doing what? Doing Brenda's job? Wow.
I mean, that's what we're paying. That revenue isn't going to the sewer department.
You could become the town clerk, Wayne. I think that's the same salary.
Should be weights and measures. Add that on to Bob Egan's job.
Yeah.
That's his retirement. He reads he's the weights and measures for 5 or 6 towns.
Yeah.
So the motion is to approve a $910 abatement last time with the provision that they get their meter readings in on time. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
No, I would change it just to say, this is our last abatement, okay? So this is it. Now, I wouldn't put any kind of conditions on it. It's up to them to do whatever they think is necessary, so they don't have to have they don't even have to think about having another abatement.
Okay.
You don't have to say that. So who would like to second?
Paul Kears, second.
And I'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kears, aye.
Wayne Sawchuck, aye.
Let's go to Atlantic Ave, see if we can do this before 12. This is our longest meeting in a long time.
I know. I'm meeting someone at 9:30. I mean 10.
Huh?
Nothing.
No, okay. So this one here is on Atlantic Ave.
So they're looking for $407.73, according to the statement that was signed by the property owner. They didn't realize that they had not turned off the hose, I guess. So all of that water did get into the ground, not into the sewer system.
How long was the hose on?
They're not sure how long it was on.
Yeah,
for,
they didn't
but-
say. They didn't say.
Yeah.
No, it was a good amount of time.
So we're at 428 Atlantic Ave, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the average sewer bill, I guess, was roughly $334 a month, and this one came in at $700.
Yeah.
How? Did she get an abatement from the water department?
No.
You know, they had a new meter installed, looks like somewhere between February and May of 11, so it's not that new.
The radio.
Could have been as small as about a half a gallon a minute.
So we're looking at the monthly bill. Do you have the average? Do you have the amount for the day? Is that what the?
I don't see it.
I don't know what all these. Yeah, just what we were talking about is when you have the bill that for the month that tells you each day that how much water, then you get a better idea of that it was really a leak, not a leaky toilet or something else that was going on for a period of time.
How far out is 428? Because this lady is talking about a tenant.
Well, the person lives in, we say she lives in Jamaica.
Jamaica Plain as a mailing address.
I mean, if it was for the entire period, it'd be about a quarter of a gallon per minute, which is a leaky hose, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, when you do the average for 6 years or something, it's always going to be lower than a high reading, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the last 9 years, this is an anomaly. I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So obviously it's
something.
Yeah, it does support the we left the hose on, didn't realize it. According to the letter that was written and signed.
Does anyone want to make a motion on this?
But there was a bill for $470 and another one for $378 and
yeah,
you know, well, I'd make a motion to give her $300 towards the off.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No? Paul, you good?
Yeah, just wait for the roll call.
All right, so Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kearsey, aye.
Wayne Sawchuk, aye.
Aye, aye.
All right, so 300 abated.
Yep.
All right.
Our next meeting's on the 7th.
Yeah, I had something else I thought. Let me find my agenda.
I got all that. Looks like we did everything other than with the abatement.
Yeah, there was something else on the, that I hand wrote in. I did get an interesting call from somebody, Toll Brothers, looking to see about sewer on Chief Justice Cushion Highway out near Booth Hill Road. And I told them, I said, that is Situate. So he sent me in some information, and I think he wants to get on the agenda for a meeting to discuss.
Why does he want to get on our agenda if he's in Situate?
It's probably, maybe he's heard about regional and sewering South Main and North Situate.
Wayne, do you remember remember they talked about a proposed 40B development?
300.
Do you know where that was? Do you know where that?
300,
was?
yeah.
It was in North Situate, but I didn't know where it was.
So on 3A, and I don't know it's before the new police and fire station. I think it's some of that land that is.
Oh, the one across the street?
Yeah.
It's like there's a big chunk of sold.
You know, when you leave, you go by the North Situate on 3A and you head it out, you're going up one incline by, I don't know if it's Booth Hill Road or whatever
It's Booth Hill Road, yeah.
Right after that, I think is as you're going up, it like you land on the right-hand side there.
Yeah.
Toll Brothers typically doesn't do 40Bs. They're typically condos or
I know.
townhouses.
And
Yeah, usually high end.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Maybe a totally different project.
Yeah.
From but because the town did a land swap. Jack Livingston owns the property that's being developed. So, it's sort of interesting because we haven't heard any more about North Situate and some of the things they're doing.
No.
And did Toll Brothers do Hatherley Road, that big thing?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found my notes. It was a vote for the sewer fees to be waived for Sandy Beach Association.
Yes.
Can we have a vote on that one?
Yeah, we voted on it once, but I'll make a motion to vote on it again.
I thought we did too, but anyway, yeah. We'll do a revote.
All right.
Is that your motion, Wayne?
Yes.
I'll second. And now we'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kearsey.
I don't know if I have to abstain though, because my wife's the president.
Probably a good idea.
I'll say Wayne Sawchuk abstain.
Okay.
Okay. And that was effective with the current bill, the one that was due December 1st.
So they would have to put an abatement into that one? I thought we were going to have them pay for that one, and it would be after.
I don't know. Okay, we'll find out what they did. My wife's not the treasurer anymore, but. Okay, but anyway, if we just make it effective December 1st, then if it's that's when you're supposed to pay it, then the next one that goes around will be covered. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right.
That's all.
Anything else? Does anyone have anything else?
Did anything come in? We
Just remember December 7th, our next meeting is Pearl Harbor Day.
Yeah.
The Historical Society, a sewer connection was put in, and I thought we did that. Did we do anything about that with the last meeting?
We did approve it.
It was just to approve it, and that was it. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
I
I'll
second.
hear a second.
I know.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Day.
Happy
Have a good
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, have a good Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yep. We'll see you.
Later. Bye.
Bye, thank you.